Hello everyone, I am Maria and this is my presentation on cultural capital. So, the research question I came up with was in what ways do the cultural concept of education and broader parental expectations influence the academic aspirations and college going decisions of first generation Mexican American university students? So, after some research methods I used to address this research question were solely based on empirical evidence collected from Mexican American students samples who decided to pursue a higher education. My approach was to collect as much existing research by secondary data analysis. One research note: even after high school, students who experienced more parental expectations felt more obligated to attend a higher education institution. Students who had a clear understanding of their academic aspirations seemed to be the majority affected by their parents' abilities to afford a higher education for them. Those seen without scholarships or wealthy parents tended to pursue blue collar jobs to help out their families and sometimes later on pursuing a higher education and sometimes completely forgetting about it. The significance of these findings were that parental expectations and the influence of academic aspirations had a major impact on Mexican American students pursuing a higher education. In some cases, even just the consejos, words of motivation from parents, encouraged students to attend college. Having parents with little academic background sometimes encouraged or discouraged students to pursue a higher education, as proven by field research. In conclusion, it is noticeable that parents and the influence of academic aspirations from themselves or from their peer students has a major impact on whether a student pursues a higher education or not providing. So my research topic was how first generation Mexican American students navigate parental expectations and college aspirations. So the significance, or other words known as the purpose, would be Mexican American students have a role of non traditional forms of support and knowledge transmission with their families and communities having to navigate through their higher education solely on their own, having to wander off trying to meet mentors and other adult or counselor that could possibly help sometimes. Promoting social mobility allows them to shape their own ways of approaching their higher education institutions or institutional agents, whether it is by their parents' expectations of them, their aspirations to do better, or just an overwhelming suggestion from their peers to achieve their goals or to achieve things their parents were not able to do, or being able to afford it because of social stratification leads to whether they pursue higher education or not, furthermore influencing their decisions on pursuing higher education. So my thesis was culturally rooted parental expectations and broader ideas about education shape how first generation Mexican American students set academic goals and navigate college, revealing the complex reciprocity of motivation, identity, and pressure in their educational journeys. So, the theoretical framework that I decided to use was cultural capital by explaining the role of non traditional forms of support and knowledge transmission within the family and community in navigating the higher education system, as well as examining how students use their family's cultural knowledge and their own experiences to navigate the system, as well as use functionalism, explaining socialization and cultural transmissions by families' dedication and loyalty to family, as well as examining how the supporting parents through success, which encourages them to pursue a higher education. Lastly, I use conflict theory by explaining the pressure students experience and their awareness of their family's subordinate class position and the high stakes of education as their only viable path to upward structural Mobility, examining how race and ethnicity intersect with class to create a unique and often disadvantaged position within the social stratification system, placing additional burdens. So, familial support. Upon examining these influences, we can better understand the unique challenges Mexican American students face and the strategies they develop to succeed in higher education. The author writes studies have established that college access are linked to various dimensions of stratification, including social class and race. This supports the idea that first generational students' educational motivation is greatly influenced by the cultural trait of familismo, which emphasizes interdependence and family unity. Based on the following, neither the life of an individual nor the history of society can be understood without understanding both. This demonstrates that everyone's influence each other. In this case, education is seen as a moral obligation to one's family and community rather than just a personal objective. However, these same ideals frequently act as buffers, providing the resiliency and willpower that help students get past structural obstacles. Secondly, influential circumstances. While strong parental expectations might seem to boost aspirations, they can also impose limits. This is shown by ability to pay for college is often a concern that may hinder students' submission of applications. This means that Mexican American students emphasize familial obligation, family finances, steering them toward nearby community colleges or joining the workforce right after high school. Instead of attending a higher education institution for those in lower middle class and lower class. Textual evidence shows at these I smile or am interested or reduce the boiling to a simmer as the occasion may require to the real question, how does it feel to be a problem? I answer seldom a word. This demonstrates how the judgment of Mexican American student experiences could also influence their choice in pursuing higher education. This constraint can curb broader exploration despite high internal motivation. Group expectations. First generation Mexican American students' academic goals are shaped in part by their parents' expectations, peer groups. An example to prove this point is parental familial consejos advice shared within the home motivate children and lead to advocacy in schools. This proves parental expectations have a major impact on students. Also said acculturation important influence on Mexican American students. In other words, their parents' comparisons to a dominant one motivate students to pursue academic success, feeling the duty and pride their accomplishments and the challenging parental expectations motivate first generation students to overcome hardships because of their commitment due to interdependence they receive from their parents. Ambition's burden. High parental expectations without accompanying resources or institutional knowledge may backfire, as stated. Storm and stress today rocks our little boat on the mad waters of the world. There is, with and without, the sound of conflict. Some rising Mexican American students may feel the pressure without guidance, leading to stress, avoidance, or decisions based on fear rather than ambition. As claimed quantity of adult assistance as well as the degree to which the assistance is customized to the student's needs varies across families. This suggests that Mexican American students do not receive enough or any academic support from their families due to relative poverty, causing the parents to take on multiple shifts, leaving little to no free time to support their children academically if they plan to do so financially. In fact, some studies found that parental expectations do not significantly predict student achievement when accounting for other supports, leaning more towards students' privilege and gender. Parental pressure. Mexican American students delicately balance guilt, ambition, and gratitude, report feeling complicated about prioritizing their education over their family obligations, class traits, or social facts. For instance, Mexican American children learn the importance of emotional, moral, educational, and occupational consciousness, argumenting that resilient and more committed students are those whose motivation stems from a sense of their parents' sacrifice, including Latino parents of low socioeconomic status had less college knowledge. By insisting that the parents' expectation for their children to receive higher education to have a better life, something they wish they had been able to do. The success of first generation college students depends on embracing the emotional work that these students must do while juggling their social structure due to their dual responsibilities to their families and their studies of as a son or daughter as a student. And then my conclusion is recognizing the reciprocity emphasizing the importance of support systems that honor both cultural values and the ambitions of the students, parental expectations, and cultural views on education deeply influence first generation Mexican American students' goals and strategies, showing how identity, motivation, and family pressures together shape their college experiences. First generation Mexican American students' aspirations for higher education are entirely linked to their cultural identities and parental expectations and parental reliability. Combining cultural pride, family loyalty, and individual goals, professional institutions can provide support systems that respect students' cultural heritage and promote their academic achievement by having a thorough understanding of these dynamics. In conclusion, their experience highlights the enduring connection between identity, family, and education that shows not just the pursuit of degrees, but also a generational long legacy of resilience and hope. These are my references. Thank you for watching.